Hey everyone, so I want to talk about the Razer Tartarus Pro. So this is the Tartarus Pro. It's a gamepad from Razer. So there's actually other versions of the Tartarus Pro or the Tartarus, which is the first Tartarus, and the Tartarus V2. And this one, the Pro version, it has the new Razer linear optical switches. So I got the red ones here. I think the red ones are the linear ones, the non-clicky version. And the main selling point with the Tartarus Pro is that you can adjust the actuation points of the switches. Primarily, I wanted to use the Tartarus Pro for editing in Adobe Premiere Pro, in Photoshop, Lightroom, and for gaming. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video in terms of editing and in gaming as a student, as a creator, and as someone who goes out a lot with my laptop. So as you can see, my setup right here is just my laptop, my main laptop, a secondary screen, and my peripherals. So I am a working student, and every day I get my laptop and take them to work. So that means my Tartarus Pro, my keyboard, and my Viper is left here at home, and I just use the laptop bare bones itself. So the Tartarus Pro is a gamepad made for gamers actually. But I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where they use it for editing, for macros, for shortcut keys, and I've set it up to be like that. So I have here, here's my gaming profile and my editing profile. It's color coded. There's undo, redo, save, delete, and etc. All of that. So that actually doesn't matter because that's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. So I'm going to talk about why is it good and why is it bad. And spoiler alert, there's a lot of bad things rather than the good. So let's start with the bad one first. Number one, the Tartarus Pro doesn't have built-in memory for profiles. So what does that mean is I cannot save my customized profiles to the device itself. So for example, here I have my editing profile and my gaming profile and the default profile. So if I were to remove this and put it on another computer, the profiles will be gone. But the profiles are synced into my account. So in order for me to use that, is I should install the Razer Synapse software into the computer that I will plug it into. And if you are someone who has an office computer and installing it is like impossible, or you can't install it, or you don't want to install it, that's one thing to think about, because you cannot take this with you, and it's not meant to be that portable because it lacks built-in memory for the profiles. So it's possible as long as you have the software in the computer you want to use it to, but without it, no, it's impossible. So that's number one for editing and for both gaming and editing. Number two, for gaming, I had to adjust using it. I'm specifically playing Valorant with it, and there's a lot of adjustments needed and customization. So the Tartarus Pro only has the switches which are on the left side of the typical keyboard, and it has one missing key here. It has a scroll wheel instead. When I'm playing Valorant, I have a few keys which is outside this area, such as the H key, the Y key, and a lot more. So I had to adjust and rebind them all into their specific places. But it's not enough to rebind them all, so I had to use Hypershift. So Hypershift is whenever I press, this is my Hypershift button, I set it up as this one. Whenever I press that, I will have another set of keys that I can press. So for example, when I press this one and this one, it will do a different keystroke instead of not pressing the Hypershift. So it's like a toggle. So I had to make use of that in order to add the missing keybinds. And that's kind of a hassle because the moment that I got used to using this, I had a hard time using a normal keyboard. So there's that. If you wanted to use this, just be prepared to transition, to shift over your muscle memory to this kind of playing style, to this device, and it will be a a lot harder to go back to the previous one, which is the typical keyboard. Another issue of mine for gaming is I had to swap control and shift. So as you can see here, this button is not the control button, it's the shift button. As you can see, where my pinky is always resting on the shift button. So whenever I'm playing, it's already here in the shift. But when I wanted to crouch, I don't have any button below to press. So I made my crouch button the caps lock button, which is above the shift key in the Tartarus Pro. So I had to adjust to that. And when I decided to play with a normal keyboard, it's hard to adjust back. And another one is for editing. Remember, I have a profile for editing, which I customize it. And because I am someone who goes out a lot with my laptop and I also edit outside of my home, using the Tartarus Pro with a customized layout for editing is pretty hard because I have to keep adjusting from time to time whenever I'm home and whenever I'm out. So it wouldn't be efficient to memorize or it wouldn't be efficient to memorize or familiarize myself with two layouts of shortcuts or macros for two different locations. Instead of making my workflow faster, it feels a little bit slower because I have to adjust from time to time whenever I'm outside my home and I'm at my home. So it's better to memorize the Premiere Pro keyboard shortcuts, like the default shortcuts, or maybe just change them in the application yourself, so you can use the keyboard. So whatever computer you use, you will be your workflow wouldn't be affected that much. So there's that. But if you're a MOBA player, it will be really helpful to use this instead of just the normal keyboard. Alright. I know you can customize your keys here, but you can also do that in a normal mechanical keyboard as long as the software allows it. You can create your own macros and shortcut keys as long as you like. In fact, there's very little difference with these two. It's just that this one is more ergonomic. It has better ergonomics. It looks cooler, and it has a scroll wheel here and some D-pad and some gimmicky stuff. So it's full of gimmicks, but if you are the right person to use it, such as a MOBA player or someone with problems in your wrist, this device is really good for you. But for someone like me who's trying to speed up his workflow, this device is kind of a 50-50. It's in a gray area. And one more is I have to constantly manage my profile. So the first time I bought it, I made sure to do all my profiles. I made sure to learn the app and set it all apps so I don't have any problem switching and doing all of those stuff. But over time, I find myself being unsatisfied with the profiles that I made, with the customizations I made. So over time, I keep coming back to the Razer Synapse software and trying to readjust every little thing, even the lighting, which I didn't really care before. But since I have this device, it's like, because it's there, I wanted to care about it. So maybe I wasted a few hours readjusting everything and making sure everything is perfect. And that's fine if that's your thing, but that was my thing before. But now I'm a pretty busy person. I have work, I have studies, I have YouTube, and I can't afford to keep doing that. So now, since one of the benefits is creating profiles for this device, since I just didn't care, I tried to remove that in my mind. I'm just using it normally, like just the default WASD everything on the left side of the keyboard. And I think that doesn't accomplish its goal. It doesn't accomplish it. I can't use its full potential because of that. So it's worth the price if you are someone who can totally use all of it, all of the features, especially if you're a MOBA player or an editor at home, just at home, or you are comfortable with carrying this everywhere. But if you're someone like me who goes out a lot, or if you're someone like me who travels with his device, with my laptop, then I don't suggest you buy this and just stick with your regular keyboard. You can buy a custom Mac keyboard also if you want, you know, so you can type better, type gloriously. Yeah, I made a video about my custom mechanical keyboard. It's a GK64XS and it's custom built, and I'll be modding them pretty soon. I'll be lubing the switches. So if you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe and see my other video where I set up this whole keyboard. Yeah, so the Tartarus Pro is really great actually. I really like it the first time I had it, but over time it made me realize that I don't really need it. So if you are able to afford that kind of mistake, then I suggest you do so, because you don't know if you will realize something. You don't know if you will discover something new. You will discover a really great thing with the Tartarus, like something personal, something within yourself. Because I believe that all the customizations in the Tartarus Pro, if you have a Razer keyboard, you can do it in the keyboard too. It's the Tartarus Pro is not needed. It's just there for ergonomics and for, you know, for aesthetics, and it's the scroll wheel and D-pad. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the D-pad is not analog, but these are analog linear optical switches. So there's that. But overall, I've enjoyed using this device, gaming with it, editing with it, but the hassle of coming back to it and coming away, the hassle of adjusting every now and then, that's what ticked me off. That's what made me realize that it's not for me. So yeah, I hope you take my advice, but take it with a grain of salt, because that's all with my experience. And I hope you like this video. If you want more videos like this, make sure to like this video and comment down below what you think of the Tartarus Pro, or maybe the Tartarus V2. Maybe I should have bought that instead, because it's cheaper, and yeah, it's basically the same, just the switches are different. So make sure to subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching, and cheers.